My whole life, I've never found anything, Evie. Please, tell me I found something.
Jonathan?
Yes?
I think you found something.
In today's video, with the help of my Bamboo Lab A1 3D printer, I'm going to be making the key to Ham and Aptra from the Mummy movies. All the files that you'll see in this video are all coming from Andy Valentine Props, so I'm not the owner of these STL models. You can get them for a reasonable pricing, for example on Etsy, that's where I got mine. They're normally always on sale anyway, so go check that out if you're interested. So, believe it or not, this was actually the very first time I've ever used a 3D printer, so I need to get a micro SD card first. And I decided on printing out the flaps first because they were the smallest and quickest ones to print out. Also, sorry in case my voice sounds a bit weird, it's probably because I feel a little bit sick ever since last night. My throat's been scratching, so just to give you guys a heads up. So now I'm basically just sanding the flaps one by one. I started off, I think, with 180 grit sandpaper and worked my way up to, I think, about 1500 grit. Keep in mind that if you're going to follow along with this video, that I'm by no means a pro, and that there are multiple ways of going about this, and this is just a way that I decided to do it. So yeah, this video is more, not really a tutorial, but rather just a way that I did it. Also, just a little tip in case this is also your very first time 3D printing, I would definitely recommend reducing the printing speed to like 75%, especially on the bottom piece, which we'll get to in a second. So the issue with the bottom piece was basically that the nozzle, or rather the tool head, was moving way too quickly across the print, causing these minor details to basically chip off. And I think you wouldn't have this problem if you just used a smaller nozzle, for example a 0.2 nozzle. The problem for me was just that the 0.2 nozzle wasn't working no matter what I was setting. I suppose if you've 3D printed in your life before and, you know, you have more experience than I do, then a 0.2 nozzle is probably your best bet to do the bottom piece. And to be completely honest, the bottom piece is still not perfect. I had to re-glue a lot of chipped off pieces at some point. At one point I just used the excuse that since the key is just so old, do you really think that it would be in perfect condition after all those years?
I think not.
So yeah, here's some more printing footage. Other than the bottom piece, all the pieces pretty much worked out perfectly. And please ignore the mess in the background. My room desperately is awaiting a cleanup. I've just been pretty busy lately with school and everything, and I've just been a little bit behind. So now with all the pieces printed and ready to go, we can now prime them. This is the primer and filler that I decided on using, because in Germany we don't have the cliche one. I think this is the one that you guys use in America. In Germany we don't have that, so I just took this alternative. So I don't have footage of me priming the prop itself because it was frickin' cold out, and to be honest, I don't think you really need to see me priming it. It's, you know, your standard priming. You just do 2 to 3 coats and, you know, you let it dry for 24 hours. And I think I only used 2 coats, the reason because it was just so cold. It was so cold out. We have like -6 Celsius right now in Germany. It's frickin' cold. And I wanted to go back inside, to be completely honest, and 2 coats really was enough for this, so, you know. So what I'm using here is Green Stuff World Metal Color Antique Gold. Initially I was actually going to be painting the entire prop with this, but it turned out that the gold was way darker than I anticipated. It looked a little bit lighter on the pictures when I ordered it, so I used it as a base color, to basically give it this metallic look, and I just used regular acrylic gold paint that I had left over. And I really would just like to emphasize just how cheap this acrylic paint was. It was like 99 cents, so it wasn't really like crazy great quality acrylic paint either. I just dry brushed it on top of the Green Stuff World layer. So as I said, I used the Green Stuff World as the base color, and then I just dry brushed some really cheap leftover gold acrylic paint that I had, and that was it. I used some black pigment that you're gonna see on, you know, a little bit later, but overall, the overall look that overall gold look that you guys can see, that antique gold was created through the Green Stuff world in the combination with my cheap gold acrylic paint. So you don't have to get like this crazy expensive gold acrylic paint, you know, you can just get something really, really cheap. That's what worked for me, at least. Don't go overboard. Don't feel the need to get like a 20 € gold acrylic paint just because it says like high quality. I used such cheap gold paint and it still worked. So, you know, just for you guys to save a little bit of money, don't have to go overboard. So here I'm basically using that cheap gold acrylic paint, and I know you can't really tell in the video, that's why I'm just going to emphasize it here in the voiceover. It might not look like I'm dry brushing because, you know, you don't really see me dabbing the brush onto anything. Basically what I'm doing is I'm taking like a little bit of the gold acrylic paint, like I'm literally just dabbing the front tops. Like, the top of the brush itself is basically just grazing the acrylic paint. So although it may look like there's a lot of, like, acrylic paint on my brush, it really isn't. And also, I don't just, like, dab the top of the brush into the acrylic paint, I also kind of smear a little bit of paint onto the side of the container. You can see it right there a little bit. I'm kind of just, like, brushing a little bit of the excess acrylic paint off of the brush. So, I'm not doing the cliche dry brushing because, I don't know, I just don't, you know, it didn't feel necessary for this prop. So right here you can kind of see what I was talking about that dry brushing technique. So I'm taking the brush and I'm basically rubbing it against the side of the container to remove the excess. So right here I'm actually using a bit of a different technique. It's still dry brushing, but this time I'm using a sponge. I'm using the sponge because the area that I'm basically painting is a whole lot bigger than the flaps were. So just to kind of save time, and also my opinion, you don't just save time, but also the quality and the outcome look a whole lot better than if I did it by brush. Also, you don't have to dab for this technique. You can also rub the sponge into, you know, the corners a little bit. So yeah, that's just a technique that I would recommend for you guys. So now I'm applying the black pigment from AK Terrain. And to be honest, I don't use pigments that often, so I wouldn't take my advice here too seriously. I've used pigments in the past. I've used it. I've actually used their products in the past for the BD1 terrain building project that I did a few months back, and you know, I really like their products. And right now I'm basically putting the pigments on a dry base. Which works fine. I personally think though, if you can also mix it with the paint to make the paint a little bit darker. I sometimes did that as well, but you know, I really, really like using the pigments when, sorry, my throat is really killing me today. I would really recommend using the black pigment when the paint is still damp. I think that's like when you get the best results. You can obviously wait when the paint has also dried, but, you know, I think it works best when the paint is actually still damp. Not necessarily wet, but damp. So, as you guys can see, I'm once again doing the base layer with the metal color Green Stuff World stuff. And, looking back, I was really worried that you weren't going to be able to see it on camera, and I'm very, very happy that my camera did actually manage to catch the color quite well. But yeah, same technique. Green Stuff World as base layer, then use your gold acrylic paint on top, dry brush it, you know, not the cliche way with the paper towel and you dab it off there. There's this one video that really explains it quite well. I hope I can find it again. That's what really helped me get into dry brushing. So if I can find it, I'll link it in the description, because he does a better job at explaining what I mean than I do. So, you know, if I can find it, I'll link it in the description. If not, I'm sorry. I hope this video is going to be sort of helpful for that. I'm not really good at explaining. I really suck at explaining things. So, you know, let me know in the comments if you guys, you know, could use this video as a guideline. Also wanted to say, since The Mummy 4 is apparently in works, it feels almost like it was fate that I bought this 3D printer, because I actually bought the 3D printer and I wanted to do the project, the Key to HammondAperture project, before The Mummy 4 was announced. So I just wanted to mention that I thought it was very ironic that my obsession with The Mummy sort of returned, was sort of resurrected, and then like a week later, The Mummy 4 is announced. That's like, I mean, that's fate, you know. Also, if you're active in, like, you know, Reddit communities and stuff, you might have already seen the Key to HammondAperture build of mine. I uploaded it to the Mummy community, which, by the way, y'all are so funny. I had so much fun reading through your quotes. You know, it was very, very sweet to read the comments and everything. It was very, very sweet. Just wanted to mention that. Also, the second most frequent comment I was reading, besides the whole "can I get the STL file," was, "Where's the Book of the Dead?" And to those, I'd like to say I do have the STL files. I have them for the Book of the Dead as well as the Book of the Living. But, here comes the but, they take the print, so basically the printing time for the overall build is like 100+ hours, like for all the prints in total, and I just don't have that time right now because of school and etc. You know, I have a lot of projects I also want to do, as I'm also currently working on a TV show concept as for fun, because I want to get back into writing, so I'm just kind of busy right now, and, you know, but I do have them, so it's not, like, impossible to do. Just probably not something that you're gonna be seeing in the upcoming weeks, heck, not even the upcoming months. The earliest I might do it is Christmas, when I have, like, on Christmas break and I'm off of school. But even then, you know, like, it's not going to be something, it's gonna take a while to print all those pieces. So, not to get anyone's hopes up, I've read the comments, I've seen what people want. I want to make it too, but I also don't want to rush it, because, you know, rushing a project hardly ever really goes well. Other than that, that is basically it. That is the Key to HammondAperture build, and I hope I was able to kind of inspire people that might want to make this, and, you know, give them that courage to, like, give it a try. Of course, I must say that, I do have experience with, like, prop building. I've built props, ever since, like, the age of 12. Actually even younger than that, not to flex or anything, but, you know, just to point out that I do have experience, and I've built props out of EVA, foam, cardboard, etc. And, you know, I am, you know, it's not new to me. Obviously 3D printing was, but the whole handcraft situation and crafting stuff isn't necessarily new to me. So, you know, but I hope I was able to inspire some people, or, you know, entertain some of you guys. If you don't want to make it, you just want to see how I did it, you know, that's fair enough too. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I really need to lay down. I feel pretty sick, to be completely honest. My throat is killing me, and it's like close to 8 p.m. here. Yeah, I don't feel good. I feel like I really did catch a cold, which is weird because I haven't gone outside in like forever. Maybe priming the 3D print in like -6 Celsius at like 6 p.m. in the middle of, like, in complete pitch dark wasn't the best idea. And yeah, I feel pretty sick, so I'm gonna take some medicine now, and I'm gonna wrap up this editing and finish up the thumbnail, and then I'll, you know, hope you guys liked this video, subscribe, and thank you guys so much for watching.